Echoes of the Past, Voices of Today, a museum exhibit created by Nina, Orion, Janae, and Chagera. A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without its roots. Marcus Garvey.
Our project, Echoes of the Past, Voices of Today, is a museum exhibition that bridges African diasporic histories with contemporary expressions of Black identity, activism, and cultural resilience. The creative goal was to create an experience that not only informs viewers about key historical movements and issues, but highlights the continuity of Black resistance, cultural preservation, and self-identity across time. It's made to tell a story about the African diaspora and its continuous impact on the world today through art, video, photography, and video. And each section is structured to reflect major themes covered throughout the course.
Origins, tracing the roots of resistance. When we traced the roots of resistance, we found the colonial context. European imperial expansion imposed political, economic, and cultural domination across Africa and the diaspora. Early resistance. Communities resisted through uprisings, cultural preservations, and grassroots organizations, laying foundations for later movements. Global connections. Anti-colonial struggles were not isolated. They drew strength from shared experiences across continents. Legacy. These origins shaped the strategies, symbols, and solidarity that continue to inspire modern activism.
Examples of Resistance explores the impact of anti-colonial leaders and their use of visual media in the pursuit of liberation. It connects historical evidence to movements and activism of today, emphasizing continuity and how the fight for freedom and equality is still ongoing. Key leaders like Kwame Nkrumah and Marcus Garvey were a crucial part of the movement despite only being one person among many. Their leadership was what inspired the collective action and solidarity that really made a difference when fighting for rights. Visual representation of leaders and protests of the past are much more impactful than just words because they show what it was like to be there in the moment and how hard it was to stand up at the time. Archived materials are a record of what happened in the past and a reminder to make sure that we don't forget our past and repeat mistakes we've already made. There are some key texts that shaped the civil rights movement, like MLK's letter from a Birmingham jail that lays out the argument for nonviolent resistance, while Malcolm X's The Ballot or the Bullet pushes for political self-determination. And these modern movements like BLM didn't appear out of nowhere. They drew directly from earlier Black freedom struggles, from groups like the NAACP or SNCC that built the blueprint of how to resist.
While future AFT President Sandra Feldman helped to organize the March on Washington, busloads of union members traveled to Washington to participate. AFT leadership kept in close contact with civil rights leadership, Martin Luther King Jr., Bayard Rustin, and A. Philip Randolph.
Our needs are identical with Labor's needs.
I've known Al Shanker since the very early days when I was working with Martin Luther King. I think he was on every major demonstration in the South. He was always there with money and help and people when we needed them.
There was a feeling of we can change the world. It's important that this truckload of money, this truckload of supplies, or this group of people get on a plane or a train and go someplace to sit in, go someplace to conduct the freedom rides, and it will make a huge difference. And in fact, it did make a huge difference.
This portion of the exhibit highlights Black women's leadership, survival, and innovation. It features visuals and archival materials that show the movements Black women have created, led, or sustained. Visitors would engage in a video about the struggles Black women face and the strength and resilience they embody. And this section would also hypothetically include models of inventions by Black women, such as Sarah Broom's ironing board or Dr. Shirley Jackson's contributions to fiber optic technology. This section is made to emphasize Black women's intellectual and creative legacy.
As a Black woman who was a Black girl, I see the attack on us comes in a very different form in some ways it comes in the same form. You know, people do experience racial profiling and police brutality, but sometimes you come across women who have not had that direct interaction. But we're attacked in so many nuanced ways.
The cultural preservation area was designed to be interactive, illustrating how African and diasporic cultures are safeguarded through music, art, architecture, and storytelling. Because the course emphasized the role of religion in cultural continuity, we included music, art, and religious architecture as key components. One interactive element is a series of storytelling phone booths, each featuring a different form of oral tradition. One highlight being a recording of Nigerian talking drum performance to show how stories, rhythm, and memory travel across generations. In the next portion, headphones are offered to listen to how African culture messes with religious music.
The mammy stereotype showed black women as loyal, happy, and submissive servants, and it was made to erase their identity and suggested their lives should revolve around serving white people. The pickaninny stereotype depicted black children as animal-like or neglected and suggested that black parents could not care for their children and dehumanized African Americans. The Jezebel stereotype portrayed black women as promiscuous, and it was used to justify sexual assault during slavery and continues to normalize sexual violence of black women. The savage or brute stereotype showed black men as violent and uncivilized and often some kind of predator. This justified the mistreatment of black men and put their lives at risk. Today, many artists are reversing the stereotypes and showing authentic and beautiful representations of black people and their communities.